Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Viet Nguyen Tan. I'm the head of the addiction unit at Santé Publique France, and I will have the great honor to launch this symposium held by URSNet and Santé Publique France. We will be about 80 people, 80 persons here in Brussels at the heart of Europe. And yesterday we had a little bit more than 450 people registered online. So welcome everybody, we're delighted to welcome you. Please settle in, please take a seat. We wanted to inform you that if you participate online, you can choose your language. You can choose either French or English. It's in the specific Zoom toolbar that you can find on Zoom. And we will spend the day together exploring some of the scientific and political challenges that arise when we want to tackle health and social burden related to alcohol. And to introduce our day, our symposium, we are very fortunate to welcome three prestigious speakers. And to start, I will ask you to warmly welcome Dr. Caroline Semaille, who is Executive Director of Santé Publique France.
Thanks, Viet. Well, dear Madam the Head of Cabinet of the Belgium Health Ministers, Vandenbroucke, dear Madam the Regional Advisor for Alcohol, Illicit Drugs and Prison Health at the WHO Regional Office for Europe, dear Carina, dear participants, it's a great honor to welcome you to this international symposium on reducing the burden of alcohol. First, let me warmly thank our partner URSNet and the team at Santé Publique France for their dedication in organizing this high-level scientific event. I am also deeply grateful to our speakers whose expertise in sharing knowledge will for sure enrich our discussions today. This symposium addresses a critical question. How can we collectively reduce the burden of alcohol on public health? Alcohol occupies a singular place in our society. For many, it represents pleasures, conviviality, and culture, a symbol of celebration and connection. At the same time, alcohol is a leading preventable risk factor for disease and mortality, not only in France, but across Europe and globally. Let me begin with a few striking figures. France remains one of the highest consumers among OECD countries, with major consequences. Alcohol consumption is responsible for 41,000 deaths annually and is among the top 3 preventable causes of death. Every year, more than 4,000 cases of hemorrhagic strokes are linked to chronic alcohol consumption in France. Moreover, alcohol is the second leading risk factor for cancer after tobacco. Its societal impact is immense. The cost of hospitalization was estimated to be more than 3 billion euros in 2022, and the global social cost estimated at an astonishing 102 billion euros per year. These figures underscore the critical role of scientific research in demonstrating the consequence of alcohol use, justifying our actions and building prevention strategy on a solid foundation. I can assure that Santé Publique France is committed to producing data for action. And on the prevention front, Santé Publique France is equally engaged through our campaigns, the development of young people's psychosocial skills alongside the Ministry of Health and Education, and we are also engaged through the Alcohol Info Service platform, which continuously provides the public with information, support, and guidance. But here's an important question. Do our citizens even know if they drink too much? Do they understand the health risk associated with their consumption levels? And also, are health professionals themselves aware of the lower risk drinking guidelines? Alcohol guidelines are an essential tool to raise awareness. Many countries have implemented such guidelines. In France, Santé publique France has worked to disseminate evidence-based recommendations, no more than 2 drinks per day and at least 2 alcohol-free days per week. Over the years, we have run prevention campaigns to inform the public about alcohol risk. One campaign, in particular, promoted the low-risk drinking guidelines and warned about long-term harms. It aired 6 times over 4 years and significantly improved knowledge and even behaviors. Yet, the effectiveness of these guidelines depends or not on how well we communicate them to the public. What methods work best? Campaigns? Personal advice from healthcare professionals? Today's discussions will explore these pressing issues, and I hope we collectively identify innovative solutions. Structural measures are also equally critical. Campaigns are not and should not be the only tool available. Santé publique France also advocates for structural measures. We know from research that interventions such as raising alcohol price through taxation, limiting advertising, and strengthening enforcement of sales laws to protect minors are highly effective. These measures, however, require bold political decisions and are often challenged by competing economic interests. Another pressing issue is the absence of mandatory labeling for alcohol products in the European Union. Unlike other food and drink items, alcoholic beverages are exempt from requirements to display nutritional information or health warning. There is an indication on bottles to warn pregnant women on the dangers of alcohol, but it's very small and very hard to see. This afternoon, we will examine how commercial determinants of health influence public policy with insights from international, European, and national context. So, I leave you with this challenge. How do we, as a public health community, balance the interest of health, culture, and commerce to protect our populations? How can we empower individuals to make informed decisions while advocating for policy that protects the most vulnerable? With these words, I thank you once again for your participation, and I wish you an excellent symposium. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And now we feel very honored to welcome Carina Ferreira-Borges, who is Regional Advisor for Alcohol, Illicit Drugs and Prison Health at the WHO Regional Office for Europe, with a technical, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning to all. It's very exciting to be here. I would in particular like to thank both Santé publique France in the figure of its director and EuroHealthNet for this invitation and for organizing such an important event here to talk about 2 important topics. I think that I would also like to address First of all, Madame Tina van Havere, head of cabinet of the Minister of Health in Belgium. It's a great pleasure to be here with you at this opening. And also Madame Caroline Semay, the director, executive director of Santé Publique France, and say that it's an honor to be, again, partnering with you in such an important topic, at the same time, such a difficult topic as it has already been highlighted. So let me start by saying that it's not only an honor to be here with you, it is really a true pleasure because, as I just mentioned, it is a very sensitive and difficult topic that it is in the agendas both of those organizations and civil society organizations that are very vocal in the needs that we see across the populations, but also at the policy level in every meeting that we host with the policymakers and with policy decisions where this topic is so difficult to even start talking about it. And many times what we see is that it's pushed on the side given the big challenges that it creates. So this is not an event like any other event. I would say this is an extremely important event that comes at a very important time. And it's important time to have this vital conversation and a conversation that is centered on reducing the burden that alcohol causes to our societies. So the themes of this symposium, the integrating the latest evidence, scientific evidence that we have on low-risking guidelines, and also the topic of addressing the commercial determinants of health, as you heard already, are not just timely, but very, very urgent. Today, I want to remind us all of a profound truth, the truth that for our health and for cancer risk, there is no safe level of drinking. And this is something that it's a stark reality sparked by a growing body of evidence which underscores the urgency of our mission. Alcohol is not just an ordinary beverage, it is a non-ordinary commodity. What we call a non-ordinary commodity, it's because it's a leading cause of harm. It fuels more than 200 types of different diseases and conditions, and it is a silent contributor to cancer, to cardiovascular diseases, and to countless tragedies within the families and within the communities. So as public health advocates, we cannot stand the silence in face of such an epidemic. And being in a position in WHO where we are responsible for coordinating the response across 53 countries, and we see so much harm in all the countries with which we work with, we cannot indeed remain silent. So this brings me to the fact that we do have many challenges, but there is hope as well, and there's a lot of work that has been going on, which is extremely, extremely important. Change is happening in Europe. Young people are becoming sober curious and, feeling the benefits of reducing or quitting alcohol or taking it out of social settings. I think maybe you've heard about Sober Sommelier. In October, we had the pleasure to meet Benoit, a sober sommelier from France. And we were very exciting, and he's becoming more and more popular because, the passion of these people is about for non-alcoholic beverages and reshaping our cultural norms. So his work proves that there is a growing appetite for alternatives, for new ways of enjoying yourself, a proof that transformation is possible and that it is possible if we dare to challenge the status quo. So this brings me to the other topic of the conference, which is the commercial determinants. Behind every statistics, there's always an industry that is working tirelessly to market its glamorous alcohol as being very glamorous, essential, harmless, using many tactics which include active lobbying against labeling laws, framing alcohol consumption as a personal choice, and undermining public health interventions. Again, as I said, it is always a very difficult topic whenever we meet with ministers to bring this topic to the agenda, because industry does undermine even, at a very high level of the policy making, discussions. So it is indeed a very important topic, and it is important to look at these strategies, because not only they are unethical, but they are deadly, because they cause the death of many people. In June 2024, we launched the Commercial Determinants Report on NCDs, and we have shown how alcohol industry is among, one of the industries which is responsible for a lot of the harms that we see in the European context. And again, in November, just a few weeks ago, we launched the WHO Alcohol Policy Playbook. This playbook highlighted that alcohol industry tactics are not just predictable, but they are also preventable. It provides us with actionable tools to counter industry influence and to protect the public health. So we hope that this will be a resource tool that will be of use to those in need. So again, the playbook reminds us that success is not just possible, but success is happening. So there's a lot being done. And if I look at Ireland, and I see some participants here in the audience from Ireland, and if we look at the Public Health Alcohol Act, which is overcoming relentless opposition to implement policies that are saving lives, this is really a big milestone and a landmark in the progress that we have in alcohol policies. But we also have the Canadian low-risk drinking guidelines, that we celebrate as a bold step forward in aligning policy with evidence. Very important, and my colleague Catherine, who works with me, will be talking about this great success and the importance of this work. But I would say that these examples boast the courage of Ireland to move forward with a policy which is so important for raising awareness. And again, having low-risk drinking guidelines in Canada, they are important because they teach us the persistence and the solidarity which is needed among public health champions that can outlast even the most powerful opposition. Little, steady, there's progress being made, and I think this is really fantastic. So we are at the crossroads, I would say. Today, it's not just about exchanging ideas, but it is about building momentum. We need to harness the courage to confront the myth, challenge the powers, and inspire change. Together, we can change the narratives. We can not only reduce harms, but we can prepare better and healthier societies. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carina. And now, to close our opening session, we are very happy to welcome Mrs. Tina van Havere, who is head of cabinet of the Belgian Minister of Health, Mr. Frank Vandenbroucke. Tina, thank you for welcoming us here in Belgium, in Brussels, and thank you for closing this opening session.
Yeah, no, thank you and the organization to have this event, because we think it's very important. And I have to excuse my minister who couldn't be here because it's the EBSCO today. So he has to be there, but he really thinks that we should go further and further in the restriction of alcohol availability in Belgium too. So he thinks we are doing too little in Belgium, but I know we are working hard and debating hard with the other political parties. So there's no safe level of alcohol consumption. Even light or moderate consumption increases the risk of serious diseases. Carina already gave us a good overview. Alcohol consumption has serious health consequences and results in significant social and environmental losses to society. We all know this. We all know this. However, and the evidence is clear, however, whenever I have a political debate on this, and it was like this on last Friday, there seemed to be a room full of experts that are telling me that it's not true what I'm saying here, that alcohol is safe, and that Tina, but what are you going to say? That we cannot eat carbs anymore because that also is unhealthy? So everybody seems to be an expert when you have this kind of political debates, especially when you have a lot of ministers around the table. They come up with stories of their family, of their network, of their people who are working in the alcohol industry. And Tina, what are you going to say to these families? And I'm explaining the evidence, but they say, but well, that's not the only thing that is important. That's not true that it's unhealthy. It's just unhealthy to drink too much or too young, but not everyone who drinks is a problem. So we have a lot of experts going on in this field. And how can we expect then that our citizens know what the dangers are with alcohol drinking? So the public is largely unaware of these risks. And despite the serious health risks and harmful effects, less than half of Europeans are aware of the link between alcohol and cancer, brain effects, and other non-communicable diseases such as heart disease. But we must be realistic. Banning alcohol completely is not feasible, even not in Belgium. So the link between alcohol and having fun is still present in our society, and it's the perception that is reinforced by the intensive lobbying by the alcohol industry, which also invests significantly in marketing to promote alcohol consumption among the population. Think of nice colors, think of new tastes, something sweet for the women, for the younger, etc. So therefore, guidelines to regulate alcohol consumption can be useful. The Belgian experts has recommended a maximum consumption of 10 standard drinks per week spread over several days. There is also the advice to include several alcohol-free days. These guidelines are the result of a compromise between scientific evidence and social support and should therefore be considered as a social norm in Belgium. The aim of such a norm for alcohol consumption is to minimize health risks, taking into account social support and current habits that we have in Belgium. Also through campaigns such as Tournée Minérale and Dry January, it's quite the same, there seems to be a growing awareness among the population about the risks of alcohol consumption. We must continue to build on this momentum and raise awareness among our citizens, all our citizens. Campaigns like the one launched by WHO in October are positive steps towards awareness. This campaign, called Redefine Alcohol, calls on Europeans to think about the role of alcohol and aims to encourage people to make healthier choices. My children, they learned from their 3 or 4-year-olds that whenever there is something to celebrate, whenever there is a party, we should drink. That's a connection in Belgium that is made on a very very young age. Some member states have drinking guidelines and standard units for low-risk drinking, but shouldn't we consider harmonizing those recommendations? Other actions that are cost-effective to address alcohol consumption and reduce harmful consequences are necessary. But we know that addressing health determinants is it is complex. It is often hampered by single market regulations at EU level, and it often involves competencies beyond those of our health ministers. That is why it is so important to address these issues at EU level. For too long, we have linked risk factors to individual choices. We need to redefine the problem as a systemic one, taking into account the impact of people's social and physical environment on health, limit marketing, and end interference in policymaking. To make informed decisions about their alcohol consumption, citizens need to be well informed about the content of the product they are going to buy or consume and the health risks associated with it. So I'm very happy to see the results of the Irish colleagues, because that is really a very important action. This information will give the citizens the freedom to decide what level of risk they are willing to accept on a daily basis. So the European Beating Cancer Plan is a very useful tool that provides us with several proposals for legislative measures at EU level in the field of prevention. Unfortunately, many proposals launched under the plan in 2021 have not been published according to the original roadmap. We hope to accelerate this in the coming years. Alcohol labeling and taxation were the focus of a special workshop at a high-level conference on the future EU Health Union, highlighting the importance of information provision in alcohol-related policies. At the end of the Belgian presidency, the European Commission was asked to accelerate work on these actions. This is contained in the Council conclusions on the future of the European Health Union, which were approved by European health ministers in June 2024. Belgium already plans to support EU legislation on mandatory ingredient and nutrient labeling for alcohol beverages and on health warnings. We tried to do this in Belgium too. We had a lot of debate with the politicians, with the minister, but we didn't succeed on the Belgian level because they all were saying, well, you have the European level that should intervene in here. So we are looking forward to new legislative initiatives around taxation, advertising, and labeling. Cost-effective actions like labeling, market restriction, pricing policies, and limiting in availability to tackle alcohol consumption to reduce harmful effects are now necessary. Regarding the interference of the alcohol industry in health policy making, there is a need for a similar strategy for alcohol, like Article 5.3 from the FCTC on tobacco. While Article 5.3 does not completely prevent the tobacco industry from attempting to influence the policymaking, it establishes a barrier that member states can utilize in drafting protective legislation. Article 5.3 is one on the tobacco industry only, but it should inspire us for measures concerning other harmful industries. The health of our citizens is more important than the commercial interests of these multinationals. Let that be clear. Making profits on the health of our citizens can no longer be tolerated. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank our three guest speakers for their very inspiring opening words. It gives us energy and motivation for the rest of the day. And now I will suggest we move on to our first session. I'd like to welcome Caroline Costons, who is the director of USNet, and we'll co-chair this morning together.
Thanks a lot, Viet. I'm delighted to be here, and I would like to welcome you all to our first session of this symposium, and also a special welcome to our online participants. It's great that you are here with us. I would like to say a few words about EuroHealthNet for those of you who do not know us. So we are a European partnership of national public health institutes like Santé Publique France, some health ministries, some regional health authorities, and we also have associate members from universities, from civil society organizations. And we are here based in Brussels, and our mission is to improve health and well-being and to reduce health inequalities. And that's why it's so important to work on alcohol, because alcohol indeed is in our everyday lives. It wasn't in the past, it will be there in the future, and alcohol is far too normalized in our society. You see it everywhere. It is damaging health, bring costs to society, people are suffering, families are suffering, so it's really our responsibility and our duty of public health professionals and experts and public health policymakers also to act and do something against it, to minimize the damage of alcohol. And that is what we are looking for in this first session, because we are going to look into low-risk drinking guidelines. How effective are they? Are they being used by people? What is the scientific impact, or what is the science telling us? about low-risk drinking guidelines. But before we give the floor to experts, we would like to ask you a few questions by Slido and also for our online participants. So if you can take your phone from your bag and scan the QR code, or you can also type in, you go to the website slido.com and type in the PIN. And then our first question is, where are you based? Where are you from? Where do you live? In which country? And also I would like to encourage our online participants to fill in the question of Slido. Many people from France. Good to know. Bulgaria as well, Latvia, Spain, Belgium. Most, if not all, in the EU. Moldova as well, here in the room. Canada. Excellent, we have 97, almost 100 people. All right, so now we are very curious for the next question is whether you know whether there are any low-risk drinking guidelines in your country. Are there? Or there are no guidelines? Or you're not so sure? We don't know. Okay. Okay, good to see. The majority of the countries have low-risk drinking guidelines. Very good. I must admit, I'm from the Netherlands, but I would really not know. I haven't noticed better in the Netherlands. Okay, there is. Okay, good. The third question is, how have these guidelines been promoted? Is it by TV, radio, social media, by press, printed press, prevention campaign, for example, in school settings or healthcare settings or in the workplace? Not so sure. Prevention campaigns, majority says, by press, journalists, very few. All right. Okay, great. So we will, in the round table, we will get back to your answers. But now it's very good to see what our experts have to say about the low-risk drinking guidelines. Before I give the first expert the floor, I would like to tell you that the experts have about 15 minutes. And then we'll have 5 minutes for any questions for clarification that you may have. Also for our online participants, you can use the Q&A button in Zoom. We have two colleagues from EuroHealthNet, Samuel Tonello and later David Hargett, who will be looking at the questions online and make sure that these questions get to us here with Viet on stage.